Welcome to my channel. My name is Helen. In this video, you can ask me anything, and you have asked me anything, and I'm going to answer it. I've printed out all your questions here. The reason we're doing this is in anticipation of reaching 10,000 subscribers here, a huge milestone for me. So if you're watching this video, that means that milestone has been reached. So in my last video, I sort of gave an update about where this channel is going. You guys can go ahead and watch that if you want. I'll be sure to link it up. One thing I said was that I would answer all of your questions when I reached 10,000 subscribers, and you had a bunch of them. You did. I also reached out on Instagram and put the question out there, and it's interesting because the audiences are a little bit different, so the type of questions are a little bit different. And so what I did is, instead of just popping up little bits and bobs from everybody's questions, I just sort of consolidated them. There were a lot of like doubled up questions, so I consolidated them here and printed them out for me to go through, because I know that I'll miss them if I just go through my phone, which is how I've done it in the past. Let's get on with things. We will crack on. I don't know that I will put a timestamp for every single question, but maybe I've grouped them up here, and so probably I'll do like an abridged timestamp down below. And your question may not be exactly as you may have written it to me. I've kind of cut them down a bit and condensed them a bit just for space and brevity. Folks, just up front, I think that this is gonna be a long one, even if I try and cut it down. I've never seen an Ask Me Anything that was short from other YouTubers, and I suspect, just given the number of questions I have to get through, that mine will be long as well. So maybe grab a cup of tea or coffee. I have a tea here. In my last video, I spilt an entire one all over my keyboard. Then I had to restart everything. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen today. Okay, first question. What is your routine hair care now? Has it changed? It hasn't changed that much, surprisingly, over the years, really. I mean, I still do use Rogaine. I do have to use that. I choose to use it almost every single day because I'm kind of a forgetful person. Shampoo, condition, every second day, use my Rogaine. I don't use a lot of scalp products. I am using a new scalp product that I can't talk about entirely just yet, but I really am enjoying it, and it seems to be helping with my overall scalp health. The minute I can tell you guys what it is, I will. But yeah, it's a secret product right now, so it's not on the market yet. So I'm lucky to be one of the people testing that out. I do have a full video on this. That was a recent video as well, just talking about my whole routine. I will go ahead and link that up for you guys as well. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and watch that. So my next question is, can Minoxidil, also known as Rogaine, that's the brand name, help indefinitely? And my thoughts on that. Okay, so obviously I'm not a doctor here, you guys know that. I am not any kind of like Rogaine expert, just from my own experience, just from my own reading, just from my own hearing from other women. A lot of women have been on it a long time. I'm talking 20 plus years. And it seems to still be working from them, and they can't really stop. So that's because if they do, then apparently the effects of Rogaine or Minoxidil stops as well. So I'm definitely also somebody in that boat. My understanding is that it can help indefinitely, but if you have a progressive situation where your hair loss is progressing from whatever, androgenetic, alopecia, for example, it will not continue. Like, it can only do so much. Do you know what I mean? So you may still get thinning. Maybe this is just heading it off at the pass. Again, I'm certainly not an expert on this. I can only speak from my own experience and just from the anecdotal stuff that I've read and from, what I read from hair loss doctors. But yes, people do stay on it indefinitely. What are your thoughts on PRP for hair loss? Let me apologize in advance if my voice is a little rough. I've been sort of had a bit of a hoarse voice lately, so that's the tea instead of the coffee, trying to see if that will help a bit. My thoughts on PRP, I've not done it. It's very expensive. PRP, for those of you who don't know, is platelet-rich plasma injections. I think I'm getting that right. I don't know, because I am no kind of expert on this, but they take your own blood, so you get a blood withdrawal, and I believe they sort of spin it to get the plasma. They inject the plasma into your scalp. Dermatologists do this like on themselves. I see this a lot on TikTok. They use this for their hair. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It's just expensive, and I haven't really gone down that path because for me, what I do is enough. I'm happy enough with my hair. I'm happy to stop there, and I just don't have an abundance of cash to be able to do it. My understanding in general, though, is some women find that it works for them and some don't, and it seems to be kind of like it works or it doesn't work. I have not heard maybe a lot in the middle sort of area of that, but it's been probably about a year since I sort of thought about this, reported on it, researched it extensively. If you've had other experiences with PRP that don't match up with what I'm saying, please do leave them below in the comments. I know that other people will find that helpful. I feel like maybe in the future, I just feel like this is maybe one of those things in the future, it'll be a lot better than it is right now. It's just like an emerging thing, like an emerging treatment that in 10 years might be really awesome, but maybe they haven't quite nailed it yet. The other thing that I hear, and again, I am no kind of expert, but is that it could be slightly done differently at different places, so that may play into it as well. I guess every dermatologist might have a different way of administering it. I just don't have the money and the time for that right now. I'm not saying I would never do it. I think I would. If I offered it for free, I probably would. What kind of alopecia do you have? So this is a really good question, something that I get asked more privately often on Instagram. And I've described it here before, but maybe it's worth going into it again, just so that I don't want to give you the false impression that maybe you and I have the same experience, the same condition. I never claim to represent women with telogen effluvium. I never claim to represent women with androgenetic alopecia because my own case was and is a bit complicated. I started suffering from hair loss about, a year, maybe more after going through chemo. So I had lost all my hair. So my hair grew in different, but it grew in pretty nice and thick and very, very soft. And then a lot of it started to fall out. I had this sort of big bald spot, which I know you're probably tired of hearing me talk about, and a really thinning part. But I was on a clinical trial drug that causes thinning hair. And then also that was 1 year after, I think, a major surgery that I had, and a few months after another surgery that I had. So I had like lots of factors that could have played into telogen effluvium. I had factors like the chemotherapy that does women in and does women in sometimes in terms of growing back their hair. It doesn't grow back in quite the same way. And then I also went into early menopause. And at that point, I decided not to go in for a biopsy just because I was already on a clinical trial drug that was messing up with my white blood cell level. I was just going through so many different things. I obviously had a drug that very obviously gave me hair loss. A whole bunch of my hair fell out at once. I just didn't really feel this deep urge to figure out exactly what it was, because in my family, after menopause, the women in my family get thinner hair. And so I just felt like all those things sort of aligned with what I was seeing. I think it's just like maybe mild androgenetic alopecia, I think probably mixed with telogen effluvium, mixed with a clinical trial drug, mixed with the chemotherapy. Like, my situation is not like most other women's situation, but I have heard from some women post chemo and even post clinical trials who have sort of dealt with something similar. So I don't feel like I'm alone. I just felt like I didn't want to get a biopsy at that point, and the Rogaine worked well enough. And around that time, I started talking about how Rogaine was working for me. And so here we are today. So I don't have a definitive answer. That's the truth. I suspect it's postmenopausal related hair thinning, which happens to a large number of women. So I hope that kind of clears that up a bit. I know some of you want me just to say, yes, I had telogen effluvium. Yes, I had androgenetic alopecia. So I've never gone the step to go through to get these diagnoses because I just didn't feel I needed them. Next time I see a dermatologist though, I will discuss it and find out. I'm just not that curious. Is that wrong? I don't know. I just it works for me. I'm happy enough to know that. But that's also why I urge so many of you to find out what your own situation is, get the blood panel done, get all the stuff done, because you and I are not the same necessarily, right? Like, what I've gone through, how things work for me may not work exactly for you for a variety of different underlying reasons. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have a thyroid condition that can really mess with your hair. So I just have so many combined factors. How old were you when you started using Rogaine and Toppik? I was 41 when I started to deal with the whole thinning hair, thinning part, bald spot situation. Okay, another Toppik hair fiber question. Does it look like pepper on your hair when you use hair fibers? I would say no. It is pretty finely milled. It's a pretty finely milled product, and it probably looks more like smudged eyeshadow more than anything else. Of course, I really can only see it on my own hair. Maybe that's something for somebody else to decide whether it looks like pepper or not. If it does, it looks like the really finely milled stuff rather than the sort of chunky bits of pepper you get with a coarser grind. I hope that answers that question. I think it looks nice. I think that it just gives a darkness and sort of almost more of a shadow than anything else. It's not super noticeable when you don't have extensive hair loss. Maybe if you had like a very extensive hair loss, like when you see guys with like a big amount of scalp, it might not be suitable for them. In fact, I think it probably isn't suitable for them. It needs hair to cling into, so it probably works best when you have sort of more moderate hair loss is what I would probably say about that. Is there anything budget friendly that you have used that worked? I'm not sure if this question meant sort of more about the Minoxidil / Rogaine of it all. In that case, yes, I really like Target's Up and Up brand liquid minoxidil for men, which I've used before and I liked. That's the only sort of inexpensive one that I've been able to get my hands on so far for a lot of different reasons. Won't go into all of them right here, but it has to do with the fact that I live in Canada. Other than that, I just use brand name Rogaine. Other budget friendly products, you guys know I love expensive shampoos, but one that I tried recently that I was pleasantly surprised with, that people have been telling me to try for years, is Puredore's formula in the blue bottle, that is just their sort of regular, it's not their like concentrated or professional brand one. I really like that product and it's not that expensive. I thought the conditioner was nice too. It felt much more like a high-end shampoo to me. I was pleasantly surprised. So if you're looking for something more affordable, in terms of other shampoos, yeah, that's probably my favorite of the ones I've tried recently. If you're talking about vitamins and supplements and stuff like that, the only one I've really ever tried was the Viviscal supplements, and I did find that they worked a little bit. They did work a little bit. They gave me, I would say, a small boost in my temples. They're not affordable though, they're quite expensive. So budget friendly and hair loss sometimes are kind of diametrically opposed to each other, unfortunately, because there's a lot of money to be made there. So as I find them, I will definitely report on them. Just make sure that you stay tuned and you subscribe and you will find out. If I like it, I will let you guys know. Next question, have you tried Amazing Hair Saviour? So Amazing Hair Saviour is a product that I first learned about. I think here people have been mentioning it and I saw it on Instagram as well. Interesting factoid, the woman who makes Amazing Hair Saviour is also based very close to me in a sort of exurb, I guess you would call it, of the city of Toronto, not too far from here. And I think I commented once on her page, on her Instagram page, saying like, people tell me that this is great. I can't remember exactly the comment I left, but then she DM'd me saying, I'd love for you to try it. Just give your honest review on it on your accounts. And I thought that was really very generous of her. She said she would send it. I haven't got that yet, but if I do, I'll definitely be sure to try it. But the answer is no, I haven't tried that yet. A lot of people really swear by it. It is sort of like hair growth oil type product, as far as I know. Have you ever tried Kerotin products? And that was spelt Kerotin, not just keratin like we hear about keratin, that's in nails and hair, just like a brand name product called Keratin. I use their vitamins and also their hair growth oils, and I'm pretty new to using them, just in a month now. So somebody's curious to know if I've ever heard of them, if I like them. I actually had not heard of them until they were mentioned just here. There are so many products out there, I don't know all of them, so I haven't tried them yet. Again, if you have and you've liked them or not, drop us a note down below in the comments and let everybody know your experience with them so we can all share. I'm learning too. I'm on this learning journey with you guys. I have not tried all products. All the ones I have done, you will find them here. I've not secretly tried any products except for the one I mentioned that is not out yet. Anything I try, I review. I make reviews here. I also leave reviews on my Instagram. So you want to follow me there. Sometimes it's something that's not quite worthy. More skincare products, like if I have tried something skincare wise that I like, sometimes I'll just drop it on Instagram again. So a good reason to follow me in both places. Have you ever tried essential oils? Did it work? Do you think it's worth it? Listen, I have not. I am trying something now that has a lot of essential hair oils, and I guess some of the shampoos and stuff, you know, the Puredore is chock-a-block with essential oil type things. I am not against them. I am not for them. I am a skeptic, but I think that anything is worth trying if you think that it is safe and it's something you want to try. And, you know, if it's something like rosemary oil, there've been a lot of, even doctors talking about the benefits of trying rosemary oil. I'm certainly not against them. Like I said, I'm on a learning journey with you guys here too. Do I think it's worth it? I leave that for you to decide. I have heard good things. I've heard it not working at all. I've heard the whole spectrum when it comes to this stuff. So this is a really good question. How did you decide and continue to decide on treating your hair loss rather than getting wigs or something like that? I've been trying to slow my hair loss for more than a decade, and I'm trying to decide whether it's worth the continued effort and expense or if it's easier just to switch to wigs. Well, okay, well, I'll answer the first part of that, which is how did I decide? Probably because my hair loss is more to the back of my head and I can't see it that well. It just doesn't bother me that much, and I'm on top of it, like it's really stabilized. If it was like right here instead of if my hair were very see-through through here, maybe I would just switch to wearing wigs or toppers by now. I don't know. That's the truth of the matter. I don't have a great answer. I don't think that because I've chosen one, I don't have to choose the other. So that's the other thing. I don't think that those are mutually exclusive things. This person has been trying to slow her hair loss for more than a decade. I get it. It can wear on you and eventually you're like, ugh. And I'm trying to decide whether it's worth the continued effort and expense or if it's easier just to switch to wigs. I just don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think that maybe you can, if you want to, maybe this is something to discuss with your doctor or whoever, just do whatever the sort of maybe bare minimum is and also switch to toppers. Like and like see how you feel about that. But I think the place to start would maybe be just getting a topper or a wig. Everybody everybody knows what a wig is. Not everybody knows what a topper is. So I found my Lily hair topper that I got out of storage. I have a whole video testing this one out. They sent this to me for free, wasn't paid to talk about it, but what a topper is, and as you can see it's been in storage a while, is kind of like a half wig, sort of how I would describe it, and it just sort of will kind of, for those of you who might have sort of, I guess, adequate hair down here, maybe you don't want to wear a full wig for whatever reason, you just want to clip on a topper. What it is, yeah, it is a cap basically that's just not as big as a wig, and it kind of does the same thing. It will give you like a realistic scalp. Again, I'll link up the one that I've done so you can see this whole thing in action. I won't put it on now because it does take a bit of zhuzhing to get it looking cute, but it's such a great match for my hair color, right? Like, so yeah, spend the time, effort, and the money. Don't forget that you don't have to buy them brand new. There is a really healthy and robust resale community for this stuff too, so you don't need to break the bank because these can be hundreds of dollars. You can get them for less. I would say just try one, see how you like it. Invest a little bit of money in yourself, and if you don't like it, don't forget you can resell it on to somebody, or you can buy one resale and see how you feel about that, and don't spend quite as much money. The last thing I would like for you to do, because I'm always a budget-friendly gal, pretty frugal, is I don't like to tell people to spend money that I don't think that they need to, you know? So I don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive. I think that I will never say I will never use this again. That's why I've kept it. Otherwise I would have sold it. I just don't know. I just don't know. Alrighty, on to the next question. This is another good one. If I'm only thinning in a certain area, can I just spot treat that with Rogaine? Or do you find that you need to do the whole scalp regardless? Thanks for your hard work on this content. That has really helped me accept my hair loss. Well, you're so very welcome. Okay, so a question like this, really, again, I'm really not qualified to speak on this, but I will try. You can find good answers usually on Rogaine. You can find good answers by finding doctors who talk about hair loss. A good doctor who talks about hair loss extensively, has a lot of blogs on it, is Dr. Donovan. He is a very trusted expert here in Canada, so happy to recommend a fellow Canadian for you to do some research with. Really, really good stuff that he writes about it on his website. I guess the answer to this is it depends. Rogaine, and you'll see on their website, sorry again with my throat being scratchy, on the Rogaine website and in their literature that comes with the stuff, they really do specify that it is best for sort of thinning around here and this kind of business. If you have like a round spot back here, that's maybe a different type of hair loss. Again, I can't diagnose you and I wasn't sure exactly what spot you're talking about. If you had a very perfectly round circle, for example, I'm not sure necessarily that that could be treated with Rogaine, but maybe it can. Again, I am not the best to speak to this. Definitely speak to somebody, or at the very least check out Rogaine's website about this. But on the other hand, yeah, for me, it kind of did. The way you put it on is you just kind of put it on the areas where it's thinning and then you massage it in, and that's what I did, and it did help me grow back the hair, like specifically right back there, and with this as well. And time and patience helped me as well with that. You know, as I've said many times, I use these products, my hair is not like it was before I went through chemotherapy. My hair is not like it was 6 years ago at all. It just is, it's different hair. The texture is kind of the same. It's wavy. It was wavy then, but I have still about a third of the density, maybe half of the density that I used to have. I used to have an amazingly huge head of hair. But I do want to address that, do you need to do the whole scalp? You're not really rubbing in Rogaine the entire scalp. You're just kind of putting on the way they say, and then you're just like massaging it into the areas that have hair loss. So for instance, I am not like applying Rogaine back here. I don't need it there, and I'm not applying it there and rubbing it in. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that helps. It was kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I tried my best on that one. Hi Helen, do you have a high-end conditioner that you recommend? I don't care about price, thanks. Okay, I do actually. So let me get it and show you. So usually if people are asking for a high-end conditioner, it's because their hair is just suffering and they're willing to like shell out a couple bucks. I don't know if this is your exact case, but if it is, I do have one for you, which is this Alterna Restructuring Bond Repair Conditioner that I got. And you can see I did not splurge because this would have been quite expensive, but I found it for $24.99, which was quite the steal at Marshall's. I have a whole video using this and testing it out. It's pretty good. I like it. Not sure that it's worth the full price. It's worth the $24.99. It goes a long way. A little goes a long way. I've had it for a long time now. You can see I've only used this much out of the entire bottle. So this is a really good one. I like this. One I find that's actually quite effective and quite light is this Viviscal Gorgeous Growth Densifying Conditioner. This one is not very expensive, but I think maybe if your hair is kind of like needs a big boost, one sort of set of shampoo conditioner that I really love together, I felt that they work so well together, was Olaplex. Don't know if you've gone down the Olaplex route, but not just the conditioner. Use the shampoo with the conditioner. Maybe get the trial sizes. The trial sizes are like this size here. You can get a set of them. Maybe just try that. I wouldn't necessarily splurge on the big bottles, but see about the smaller ones. Those work so well together on my particular hair. I don't think I found anything that worked that well in conjunction. So sometimes we're trying to use conditioner to help with the damage that we have, I guess accrued. But if you can find a really good, like more moisturizing shampoo and a conditioner that really locks well with that together, that sometimes is the magic combination, because I tell you, this is really nice. I've never really found an amazing conditioner, and I would not say this is necessarily like the best conditioner ever in the world. I just find conditioner doesn't make as big a difference as just, for me, using a moisturizing shampoo at the outset. Then I don't even need as much conditioner because the hair is just much more moisturized and it looks better. Okay, someone wrote, I'm gonna try Nizoral shampoo. That's the small sort of anti-dandruff shampoo. I shouldn't say small. That's the sort of anti-dandruff shampoo. Ketoconazole, I think, is the name of it. I've tried that here as well on my channel, and it wasn't as drying as I thought it would be. I'm stopping Rogaine right now. I'm taking that med for hair loss. I don't know what med that is, but once a day. Maybe they're talking about oral minoxidil, because it actually comes in an oral form as well, and shampoo 2 times a week. What do you think? I think that if that's what your physician or dermatologist or healthcare practitioner told you to do, that you should definitely do that, and shampoo 2 times a week. What do you think? Okay, so yeah, just follow the directions for the Nizoral shampoo. Personally, I like to shampoo my hair more frequently, maybe not with that product, but maybe with a more moisturizing shampoo. Personally, I feel that more washes are better for my scalp health, but you've got to do you. Maybe that's too drying for you. Maybe that just makes your oil level increase too much. That's always been my favorite way to do it. Every second day, every third day is how often I wash my hair. So now we're gonna segue into questions that I have that are sort of outside the hair care realm. So these might be kind of a bit more personal. So you may wanna stay tuned for these. If you had one of those questions for me, I probably answered it here. Maybe you should try some DIY remedies for skincare. Everyone loves natural for skin. That is probably not something you're gonna see me do, because I like to buy things. I like to purchase skincare products. I'm just like not that drawn into the whole natural skincare or like make your own sort of skincare type stuff. I'm just not. I kind of did that when I was like a teen because I didn't have money to go and buy those things. I'm talking about like avocado masks and cucumbers on the eyes and stuff like that, and different, maybe like coconut oil on the skin. I just like not my vibe these days. I just like purchasing. I just enjoy it. I don't know what to tell you guys. I enjoy treating myself to skincare products. Another thing that you touch on that I enjoy is the whole gender tax. I love how open you are to talk about brands marketing the exact product to women at an increased cost. Because of your videos, I feel comfortable purchasing the men's Rogaine at a fraction of the cost. Thank you. If you could do more videos about gender tax on cosmetic hair products to break down more barriers, that would be fantastic. Okay, this wasn't really a question, it was more of like a commentary on work that I've done. Yes, I work really hard when I can to talk about how you can save money and the pink tax of it all. One thing that I found was kind of interesting when I was looking at Rogaine's website is I think now they've equalized the price of a single bottle of men's versus women's foam. I think they're both $28.99 right now, so that's progress, right? It's the same price for one single can, so that's good. Maybe I have had a role in that. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it always was that price. I actually don't know. I just noticed it this time around that they're actually in equal price right now. I don't know that the 3-month supply is the same amount and it's being charged at the same amount, ounce per ounce. That's where people get mixed up. They're like, oh, but women's actually cost a little bit less than men's. Yes, but the cost per ounce is more, even though it's the exact same product. Women are getting ripped off in so many different areas. Is absolutely crazy, like razors and oftentimes just like skincare, beauty care. They just know that women will pay a lot more and they just charge us a lot more, and it's not right. So yeah, I'd love to make more videos on that in the future. Another one that came up a lot more on Instagram, because they don't know me as well there, because it's just the nature of Instagram is I might say what I do, but people don't always go back. It's sort of different. The community is kind of like, it's just different on Instagram. I don't know how to describe it. I just, in a weird way, don't feel as close to people on Instagram as I do here on YouTube. And I know that sounds weird, but I just ultimately show less of myself on Instagram. Everything is just like snippets. It's like a photo with like a description underneath, or like stories or even reels, and the format is much shorter. So the question is, what is my non-YouTuber job? I am a longtime freelance writer and editor. I've done that for, it's 20 years now actually that I've been doing that. So that is what I do. I write articles. And if you guys are interested, I'll drop a couple down below and you can see some of the things I've been writing lately. Yeah, I am a lifestyle journalist as well. So those are all kind of things that are related to each other. A lifestyle journalist means I sort of talk more about lifestyle type stuff, anything from parenting content to lighter health type stuff, personal essays. And yeah, that has been my area of expertise for a long time now. Okay, finally, a truly personal question. It's never been asked to me before here. How did you meet your husband? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my husband's name is Niall. He is from Ireland originally. And when I say he's from Ireland, I don't mean like his grandparents and great-grandparents and somebody came over on a boat a long time ago from Ireland. He grew up in Ireland. He grew up in Donegal and he left when he was in his early 20s to move to Canada. We met here in Toronto at a nightclub back when people met in nightclubs. I don't think that that's really a thing anymore. We met in a nightclub here in Toronto when he was visiting with his friends. He, like I said, was in Montreal at the time. I was a student at the University of Toronto. So that was a long, long time ago, people. We've been together a long time. Skincare routine. Okay, I keep it pretty simple these days. You know, at many points and many junctions, I go for the full Korean skincare routine, especially when my skin is looking kind of, you know, when it's not looking great. I do the whole 9 yards, everything, the exfoliation, the layers of serum and moisturizer and you know, everything else, but I've been keeping it pretty simple lately, but I'm not crazy about my skincare routine right now. So I'm gonna refrain from answering that because I'm actually gonna work, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on finding some good products. My skin is just, it looks okay right now because I've got a ton of foundation on and everything else, but it's a bit dull underneath. So I'm gonna work on that for you guys. And as I find products that work and maybe a new skincare routine, because as I age on this channel, my skincare needs change as well. And sometimes products stop working and that's sort of where I am right now. So I will, as I discover things, I will let you guys know. How am I gonna reward myself for all I've achieved? What a sweet question. In regard to the 10,000 subscribers, I am gonna get a cake, I think, with my family and just keep it pretty simple. Yeah, I think a nice cake would be in order to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. It's a big milestone. You know, it's not a lot compared to people that have millions, but if everybody were like, I don't know, anywhere together, you know, we'd be bursting at the seams, and that's absolutely amazing. If we were in like, I don't know, a small concert hall or something, we would fill all the seats, and that's amazing. It's just wild. Okay, next question. What did I go to college or uni for? I went to university. I went to the University of Toronto. I was a big nerd. I went there on a nearly full scholarship. So all my tuition was paid, but for a small amount. But then again, I should say tuition was like maybe $5,000 back then. It wasn't that much money as it is now. I studied European studies, and I'll try and keep this kind of quick. Most people in journalism have studied either English or they studied journalism. I found that to be actually incredibly common. Here's an interesting thing. So I studied European studies. That's a very niche subject. It was a very small program. I do not remember there being a lot of us because it's a multidisciplinary thing where you might take some Italian courses, you take history courses. So you take courses, it's interdepartmental almost, like you're in a lot of different departments. There weren't many of us. My husband has the exact same degree. Isn't that funny? From a totally different university. And again, at his university, it wasn't a big program either. It's just such a weird coincidence in life. So we both have bachelors of the arts in European studies. How I came upon that is actually interesting. I didn't think that I wanted to go into that necessarily. I thought maybe I was gonna be an English major. I went into the program I went into University of Toronto not knowing what I was gonna graduate from because I wanted to go to law school. So it kind of almost didn't matter what my BA was gonna be in. I did not end up going to law school for various reasons. I took one English course though at University of Toronto, and I hated it so much. The amount of reading that we had to do stripped all my enjoyment out of reading at all. And I just didn't agree with the professor, but her view was sort of like the view that we all had to match. I felt in this particular course, it was just not a good fit for me. And I thought, I do not want to be doing this for all the years that I'm here. I really want to take a whole bunch of different things and see if I can cobble a degree out of that. And I just want to have some actual skills, like maybe language skills. So I learned Italian and I learned German. as part of my European studies degree. And that suited me really well because then I traveled to Europe quite a bit back then. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like live or maybe even work in Europe at the time. And it was great because then when I would travel to like Switzerland, you can speak Italian there to some people, and Italy, of course, German, in Switzerland as well, which is one of the places that I traveled. And I traveled in Germany as well. So I got to really use my languages, which I don't think I would have necessarily been able to do had I studied just English. So I'm actually really glad I went that route, even though I don't often use it. Don't use my European studies degree very much, although I did study a lot of history in that course, and that has come in handy here when I make some of the videos that I've made about hair history. So yeah, it's funny how these things kind of come full circle. So yes, University of Toronto. Next question came from actually a very dear friend of mine. What's my favorite part of running a YouTube channel? This friend is actually the person who really encouraged me to get going with a YouTube channel at all. Had it not been for her, I may not be here right now. My favorite part of running a YouTube channel, okay, that's a good question. So the word is running, not just having one, right? My favorite part of running it is that I'm really just completely on my own schedule, and the sky is the limit. I can talk about whatever I want. If I want to come back and talk about UFOs, I can do that. There's nothing stopping me from doing that, and that's unlike anything I've ever done in my life. People even think like with writing, you just write what you want. People say like, oh, I've often thought I would be a great writer. I used to have a blog. Having a blog is not the same as having a career as a freelance writer, because when you're a freelance writer, you have constraints. It's not like you write whatever you want when you want. Someone will say you have 500 words and please interview these 3 people. And then you're like trying to write what they want. You're writing in the there's just like so many different things that go into writing for somebody else, as opposed to just like, for instance, being here and talking about what I want. So that's something that I've really enjoyed. I've enjoyed that I've been able to monetize it to a small extent. So it is like a hobby that pays me, which is amazing. And connecting with you guys has been my favorite part as well. I get so many really nice messages from people here. There are definitely like mean ones. We've discussed that here on my channel before, but there's just so much positive energy that flows from people who feel that they've been helped by somebody here on YouTube. And so being a creator is like super fulfilling that way, in a way that my writing has never really been fulfilling. Nobody ever like writes to me. Well, I have had the odd person write to me saying that was like very moving and they really gave them something to think about. But the amount that you get here, the sort of the connection that you make with people and the way that you can help is just so much bigger than anything I could have ever imagined, and for any of the work I've ever done. The other fun thing is like when young people find out that you're a YouTuber, like that impresses them way more than any other work I've ever done in my life. Like I've written for the Toronto Star, I've written for like all these big publications here, like Canada's biggest magazines, and of course that means nothing today, but when you tell people you're a YouTuber, like everybody under the age of 12 is like impressed by that, which is, it kind of cracks me up, and it's kind of sweet as well. Okay, last question. Thank you for sticking around to this point. If you have, this one's going to be on books, so I totally understand if you want to pull the ripcord now and don't want to hear about me talking about books. But if you're a sort of semi-avid reader as I am, I have a Kobo. I read a lot of books every year. I have a very short memory for them though, so I'm just going to try and dredge up the ones that I know because this person asked me about them. Maybe you could do something with books, perhaps details of what you read and books you recommend going into the long winter/indoor season. I love fiction, especially historical fiction, but would like to know what you recommend. Yeah, I have so many recommendations. I don't think I'll go through them all now, but I can talk about what I've read. I read like kind of everything. I do love biography and autobiography. I love current events. I love nonfiction, and I love fiction as well. Something that I've been reading that really kind of moved me and spoke to me was this book called Consumed by Asia, I think that's how I pronounce her name, Barber. She's pretty active on Instagram. She is a climate change activist, and I know your ears just like turned off when I said that, but she talks about fast fashion, basically about how we're consuming way too much fast fashion and what we can do about that. And that really spoke to me because that is an issue that in my personal life, and I guess a little bit on here too, I'm kind of getting to be more passionate about. I think that we just, like if you ever look at these Shein hauls where things cost like $3 and women are buying bags and bags, and guys too, I guess, are buying bags and bags and showing them off. Like I don't think that's good. I really think that that's a bad path that we're going down, and I'm trying to reduce my consumption of fast fashion as well. So this was a really great one. Mexican Gothic, an amazing fiction book. I loved that one. That's one that I remember. I even like reread it, and I very rarely reread books because that's just not my vibe. Loved that book. Maybe just find a description about it and see if that's your thing as well. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. After Bridgerton came out last winter, I of course got on the Bridgerton bandwagon and read all the books, and they were delightfully trashy, delightfully trashy. My favorite all-time book is Anna Karenina. Love that book. I reread it once a decade or so, but the language in it, the descriptions, it is a masterpiece. Anna Karenina, right? Love that one. I just read Katie Couric's recent biography that came out. I got that out from my library on my Kobo. That was pretty good. Not sure I would shell out any bucks for that, but for our library read, it was kind of interesting. Kind of took me back a bit to the era of the 90s when she was sort of a big star. And the Matt Lauer of it all was kind of interesting as well, although she kind of didn't rake him over the coals as much as maybe some of us would have liked, because, well, he's just, ugh. All right, if you're interested in more books, maybe I'll just do a community post on it. As I like books, I'll just put up stuff that I've been liking and enjoying. That could be one easy way you guys can sort of get some ideas. Maybe I will do that going forward. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Okay, I will wrap it up there, everybody. Thank you so much. Make sure that if you enjoyed any part of this or I answered your question, you give me a like, and maybe you're subscribed already, but if you haven't, consider subscribing. I talk about hair loss stuff and other stuff here as well. Thank you so much if you've made it this far. Oh my gosh, what a marathon. You're probably done your coffee, tea, etc. by now. So I will end it off here, and I will just say thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.